All right, we've got Sarper Akdemir, a contributor to LibreOffice. Today he'll be sharing about WebAssembly on LibreOffice on the web, so we can finally edit open documents on the open web. Take it away.
Thank you for the introduction. As it was just announced, I'm Sarper Akdemir, and today's topic is LibreOffice in the web as a WebAssembly WebWidget with JavaScript automation that you can extend. Yeah, I will talk about how we got that going. I'm not really a web developer. What I do is LibreOffice. I've been doing that for 5 years now, and the company I work for, we basically focus on LibreOffice everything. But hopefully, even if I'm an alien to the web, you will get something out of this, because this is something we did for web developers in mind. So, what is LibreOffice? If you just have a question about that, it is this old and gold open source, free and open source office suite that does everything and gets stuff done. It's an old code base, but it has all the bells and whistles. Nowadays we have this term, LibreOffice Technology, because the approach we took with the LibreOffice code base is actually way more than just an open source office suite. It is actually a tool pack, a powerhouse, if you will, that you can use for generating documents, templating them, getting some PDFs generated, editing stuff of any kind of documents. And the approach of the LibreOffice code base is basically everything implemented once and used everywhere. Portability has been in the starting point of the basically LibreOffice fork back in 2010. So we use the same code base to build to every platform. It's on desktop, it's on mobile, it's on cloud, and now it's literally in your browser with WebAssembly. It is not like the proprietary and some open core office suites that I know of, which they basically have their own implementations for every platform. Then you have this ugly thing where you have different bugs, different feature sets for every platform you ship to, which makes no sense. Then there's a huge feature parity problem. We avoid it by basically shipping LibreOffice everywhere. So what is LibreOffice WebAssembly, as we call it? So we put LibreOffice on the browser. It is fully client-sided. So what happens is you just ship a WebAssembly binary. It doesn't need no server after that once it's shipped. No cloud services. It doesn't need to maintain any kind of connection. LibreOffice has a huge code base. It is 9 million lines of code or something like that. And it uses GNU Auto Tools and GNU Make from the good old days. So the idea was we didn't want to avoid that at all. We wanted to we didn't want to use any kind of different build platform. We wanted to integrate everything in the GNU Auto Tools and GNU Make as well. Then the decision was made to use mscripten. It seemed like the right choice to go with. mscripten is basically a tool chain that provides all everything you need to build a C, C++ code-based project into WebAssembly. Also, it gives you this partly, not the whole POSIX environment, but a part of the POSIX environment, so that you can actually operate in the web browser. Because the web browser has some limits, you can't get all the things that you have in an open on an operating system. And LibreOffice has this GUI abstraction thing. for UI Qt makes sense. Because it already had this WebAssembly prototype going on, so we went with that, making it work was a whole thing. But at that point in time, just LibreOffice WebAssembly is this thing. It's in the web, you can use it. It's yes, user interactions going and everything. Let's talk a bit about the timeline. In around 2020, everything started with an LNet funding, some seed to get things going. So thanks to an LNet for that. Then Allotropia was also having less of, investing less of time into this. Around a year later, we got the first LibreOffice WebAssembly pixel on the screen. Then yada yada yada, we got everything got done throughout the point here and there. We got the calc support. At first it was only writer, then the calc, which is a spreadsheet editor, got the support. Then we got to have this PDF conversion working, so you don't need to use the UI at all. And then this spring, last spring, we binded the LibreOffice's API, which is Uno API, to JavaScript, so that finally you have something not only you can interact with, but also an actual web widget at that point, so that you just use JavaScript to do whatever you want to do with it. It's a part of the front end at that point. And then this November we released Zeta.js, which is a wrapper, because I will talk about this in a second, but yeah, let's move on for now. Let's talk about how all these blocks come together. We got LibreOffice WebAssembly in the browser, and then expose the API, but the problem with the expose API is it's actually just a C++ API bound to JavaScript. So what you have is like you need to actually still manage memory in JavaScript yourself. You need to delete everything you created through the API. It's a problem, and I don't think anyone that uses JavaScript is used to that. So what we went was that we created this Zeta.js wrapper, which basically abstracts everything away, and then you don't need to do that basically. Let's do a demo real quick. All right. Oops. This is what happens with demos, I guess. Let me just go to, all right, nothing's here. There we go. We need to wait for a second there. Let me just move away. I'll come back to that in a second. Let's peel back the onion. LibreOffice WebAssembly in the middle. I'd like to show you an example about how does it actually change in the code if you use Zeta.js versus the Uno bindings bound to JavaScript by itself. If you see with these highlighted areas, it actually has a sequence of property. We try to define the sequence of property values, and it's this huge string. It's very ugly, and at the end of the code, we need to actually delete the thing. But if you actually use Zeta.js, it's actually just an array of values, but you need to represent it in the LibreOffice way, but it's really cumbersome like this. If you use Zeta.js instead, it's basically abstracts everything into just an empty array, so it handles everything type related for you. It's good to go. Let's see how's the demo looking now. Okay. So in this example, it's basically LibreOffice that you see in this canvas, and you have some values here. You can insert and you can add addresses. The whole UI is Vue, and this whole rendering area is LibreOffice. It's basically something you can customize and do anything with. Let's move on. Let me just show you, let's insert an address. Then what you can do is you can generate a PDF, and it's just like that. You have it. It's a PDF that's just templated, and with the address that you picked, you can make it integrated with anything basically. So why use Zeta.js? Data privacy is extremely important if you are into data sovereignty at all. We already talked about this. Data never leaves anything. And then I'd say convenience takes the second place. From a user perspective, I hate to admit this, but yeah, okay, using the web as a platform is easier for everyone. In the end, they don't need to install or configure anything, and they can just go to some URL and they use it. It is accessible with any device. You can put on Google, like it can be on a Google that shows a screen. A browser is everywhere basically at this point. And Zeta.js also provides this developer-centered view, so it makes the Office Suite trivially embeddable. I just showed you, it makes this UNO API bound to JavaScript kind of go away. And how it actually does the trivially embeddable thing is like we also have a CDN, and you can just install an npm package. And then, yeah, if you're okay with using our CDN, go for it. And otherwise, you can also, you're not dependent on it. Everything's open source, free and open source. Go build it yourself. We have tutorials on that as well. So extensibility is in the core of everything. UNO API is crazy extensible. Basically, all of these Writer, Impress, and Calc are components. And you can, if you want, do a whole different and new component that handles its own rendering, GUI, any kind of custom workflow. You can handle callbacks from both LibreOffice and JavaScript. Yeah, go from WASM to JavaScript any way you want and extend, change it, have custom rendering, go for it, kind of deal. And what's really important is scalability and speed. Compared to other approaches like having LibreOffice in the backend and doing the compute and serving you a rendered result, this happens on the client side. So you can serve it anywhere. As long as you can serve it, it is scalable. It doesn't need to maintain the connection. So yeah, you just got it. Another demo, but I will pass this. Who is this really for? Let's talk about that. I say like lots of line of business applications has this approach of having custom workflows for their documents generation and anything that goes around that, usually archaic software that they use once and automated in some any kind of Office suite that they were using at the time. You can port anything like that into Zeta.js, and now it's in the web, it works. And you can just use it everywhere. And how did we get this into the web? It was a problem. Maturity of the problem, maturity of the platform was a problem for us because WASM was ready but not ready for LibreOffice. We did break lots of stuff, lots of tool chains, so there was lots of things to fix along the way. Debugging was working, then not working, and finally it's working, but not really at times. So there's a whole memory constraint that doing source level debugging on the web, and just debug info is when the debug info goes like 4 gigs, you have a problem at the end. You need to make sure that all of that can be loaded into browser page. If you need to see the challenges, just look through them. I will just go through fast. Maybe some recent news to talk about. Since our last presentation, we had this font aliasing issues from basically the first implementation of LibreOffice WebAssembly. They are gone now. We support browser scaling and some high DPI. Impress support is around the corner. It's almost done. Have a look at it. And in the future, what we are looking into is TypeScript, having a better UI toolkit or different UI toolkit, so that everything kind of integrates well with LibreOffice. Of course, better interaction and better responsiveness is important. We need some mobile touch support at some point. That's on the agenda as well. So I'd like to encourage all of you, if you're into web or LibreOffice or anything Office related, give it a spin. Visit zoffice.net. We have some live demos that you can just play around with. Install it with npm. I don't know much about it. Yeah, but go for it. And yeah, integrate into your front-end framework. Check our examples. We have some Vue.js examples. We have some raw HTML and just loading the WASM binary JavaScript kind of examples as well. Yeah, use it as a starting point and do your thing. Let us know, create some issues, tell us what you hate, tell us what you love. We are looking forward to it. So yeah, thank you for listening to me. If you want to talk about it, if you want to see something, see a demo, see what it is actually capable of, yeah, meet me in the hallway. I will be around, and I will be hanging around the Google Summer of Code booth around 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. See you around. Yeah, thank you.
Love WebAssembly. Oh, you've already got a question.
For questions?
Oh, yeah, plenty of time for questions.
That's nice. Hi.
Just tried it, and it seems, I mean, zetaoffice.net/demos, and it's failing for me, but maybe it's working for you. Is it just?
So, is the problem like it didn't appear at all? Like, is it stuck at loading?
It's stuck at loading.
Okay, I actually had it this morning, but the problem is all of my colleagues who have access to our CDN is sleeping right now in Europe. The problem is, I think maybe I pinged it a bit too much, and CDN blocked the actual WASM binary from deploying to this IP address. Something's flagged around it. If you can use a VPN for a bit, yeah. I have one. If you want to try it here, come along. Yeah. Any other questions?
Is there like a drop-in, like, you know, like docs.google.com? Is there a docs.zetaoffice.com that people can use?
So right now there is no documentation in form of a website, but you can just go to the GitHub repo, and there's readmes about getting started, getting the examples going, building everything from get-go, playing around, and some documentation of how to actually make sense of both LibreOffice API and Zeta.js representations of it. Yeah.
Any plans for smaller custom builds on the CDN?
So the plan is always to get it smaller. That's something that we are working on. The thing is, with getting smaller builds, LibreOffice is actually almost the same code base for each component. So like Writer, Impress, and Calc, they are not really separate code bases. So they use everything. We do try to strip out whatever we can. At first, I believe packed version of it was like 150 megs. Unpacked 500 megs or something. We need to do some static linking as some hacks to get it working on WASM. But now we got it down to 35 megs, so it's cacheable in the browser. So if you basically get it to the user once, it just goes. Yeah. Thank you.
What are other demos? The number 2 and 3, I didn't remember.
Sorry, would you like to see some other demos? Is it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, what happened was like demos went away. Like for instance, for this is a ping monitor demo. The canvas here is just LibreOffice, and the pinging actually happens just by JavaScript. This is a chart in LibreOffice. It just plots it, but it doesn't really look like LibreOffice. That's the catch of it. Maybe also. Let me just retrieve. Yeah, this is a ping monitor. Any questions about it? If you have something in mind. Yeah, okay. Then this is another ping tool. Yeah, we are not coming up with very nice examples. Hopefully you can help us in that front. We have other nice examples, but they are not in these demo links, sadly. You can just select somewhere to ping. Let me just, it's hard to type with one hand. Whoop. And yeah, it's basically going to plot that. If I can click. Is it stuck somehow? Yeah, demo gods, help me out. Maybe browser is blocking something. Maybe it should be an URL. Okay, I will drop this. Let's go. okay, I need to put the protocol in, apparently. Yeah, so then you get the ping and you get it plotted there. Yeah, this kind of thing. And this is basically the first port of LibreOffice. It's everything. And then you basically, like all of these examples you're seeing are the same binary, and it's just customized using Ono API and the Zeta.js representation. Yeah.
You mentioned ripping out stuff from the LibreOffice codebase to get WebAssembly as small as possible. What were you able to remove? Because codebases can be spaghetti, you know.
Yeah, what we were removing, like fonts, some fonts for sure, because fonts do take lots of space. And then when you are just using the code base for writer, at least like that was what we were going for. There are lots of like the slideshow engine you don't really need. The writer never shows anything slideshow related. For instance, like slideshow also has its own rendering engine with it, so it's a big thing.
A lot of space,
yeah.
A lot of storage.
And you get rid of base, LibreOffice base. That's the database application. Yeah, that's what I remember, but yeah, there are lots of small bits here and there, whatever you can remove. Yeah, we were just coming like in the build system, just getting rid of them. Yeah, one by one, seeing if it works. Then, if it works without, yeah, keeping it out of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Let's give another round of applause for Sarper.
Thank you for the conference. Bye bye.